Okay, we are at 6:31, so let's open the Tuesday, May 24th meeting of the Rutland Planning Board. And I guess the mics are on. I would say this meeting is being recorded for broadcast on local Rutland cable TV. So,
we're not gonna jinx it, are we? Okay.
Okay.
It's jinxed.
it's Jason. Good, good.
Sorry,
Okay. First order of business on the agenda is reorganization of the board.
Make a motion to leave it alone. Leave it as is.
Second.
Norm, chair, Tim, vice chair.
Did I hear a second?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay. Is there any discussion? And I've often kind of wondered on this with the five-member board. You know, if this was a large committee, I would wonder if there should be a call for additional nominations.
That's a fair question to ask, and it's difficult to ask it.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the cardiologist text when I read his text.
Okay.
That is a fair question. Is there someone
I'm sorry,
that's
no.
slated or someone very?
I accept.
Yeah. Okay, well, is there any other variation? How's that? Nomination for any other variation?
Chair and vice chair,
Yeah.
you're saying? Other than,
I accept as vice chair. I'll say that if that's a nomination.
that answers that.
Answers that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, that was easy. I don't know. Congratulations.
Thanks, you too.
Or condolences.
Yeah, thanks. And you're going to say, by the way, you're taking over Hilltop.
Well, yeah. Okay, minutes of May 10th.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of May 10th.
I didn't have any comments. I don't think I made any notes.
I looked at them briefly, I didn't see anything.
The only question I had, do we have to, how do we transfer the 1913 from our account? Because we give it to the town, it goes to general fund. Okay, Dave can tell
We're
us.
gonna get an invoice from the Regional Planning Commission for Phase 3 as the match, the dollar match, not the in-kind services match. That invoice will get paid out of the administrative account.
Okay, that's the only
It
thing,
never,
because
it never finds its way to the economy.
that's what I was afraid of, because if we give it to anybody, it'll go to the
No,
general
yeah.
fund and it could get lost.
As long as there's an invoice coming in, that covers that.
Okay, all right, good enough. That was the only question I had. Minutes.
Any other corrections, additions, deletions? Nope. Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
I
Aye.
have a second.
Oh, second. Oh, let Kevin do it.
Second.
Okay, once again, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 3, A&R westerly side of Welsh Avenue.
No correspondence or anything? Nobody? Oh, cool.
You know what?
Invoices or anything like that?
Almost no nothing.
Okay. Correspondence or mail, I didn't know.
This is
'Cause I was thinking we'd get something about a certain liquor store on East County Road. Yeah, because it's going before the select board.
Oh, to get a new, re-up license?
No, brand new one.
For that same little,
Yeah, the little store down there in North
Yeah.
Rutland.
Yeah.
well, it's a new license, but the establishment had.
I didn't know if it had to come back before us because it's been null and void for over 2 years.
We can have a conversation offline regarding this.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it was not a planning board matter, but if it is, we can certainly
Okay.
address that. But I would suggest maybe, since
All
it's
right.
not on the agenda, or maybe call me tomorrow, we can talk about it.
All right.
Okay, it's a little bit of an unusual
Yes.
A&R in that it's basically, it's not creating an additional lot. It's
No, it isn't, but should it say not a buildable lot? Because it's,
It's a parcel, it doesn't say it's a lot, it's a parcel A. This is Julian.
then parcel A.
So parcel A plus parcel B equal lot one?
No,
Julian, since you're here, maybe you just wanna take a minute to explain what you're trying to do, please?
Yeah, 'cause I'm
Okay.
not getting this.
this started out, there were two lots, that dotted line in between says lot line as per the, no, if you go back to that one, it's all shown on there.
Okay.
You can go back to the actual. Okay, you see the dashed line? Those are the two original lots. And for what reason, I don't know what it is, but the title company would not give clear title to the buyer who's gonna be buying this off of Mrs. Bessie. Though that triangle, something, they found somewhere, there was an old line that shows right where we have it now, and they said, we can give you clear title from there towards Azalea Way. But beyond that, it's all part of the 100 acres that Carl and Bonnie own. And the only way
Wow.
for them to give clear title of that 100 acres is if they survey the entire 100 acres and show them the boundaries. And they don't want to spend $30,000 on a survey of basically a giant swamp.
Yep.
So this was the easiest way for them to be able to transfer this lot, by taking that parcel A off of this and putting in with the 100 acres and create this lot 2R.
2R.
2R is the actual new, 2 revised is the new lot,
Yep,
which is 2.39 acres, has way over 200 feet of frontage,
yep.
and parcel A will go to the rest of Bessie land, and just this will be
Oh,
part of
so
the,
you-
a big 100 acres.
So what Julian's doing is, this used to be lot 1.
This,
Yeah, this
and this was lot two.
2. So what he's doing is he's making this into parcel A and making this all into lot 2R.
So
So this is
we're
gonna
getting
be a
rid of
huge
a
lot.
Yeah.
So this line disappears.
This line just, yeah, that's it. yeah.
One house lot,
One house lot.
okay, not two house lots.
And also for the board's information, the most recent prior A&R that comes before this one is shown here.
That's lot 2 and
Also
then
in your
lot 1.
packet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right, that was previous.
that was, yeah, we approved and signed off with that one.
A couple of years ago or something.
Yeah, that's in the registry of deeds. So you're just,
You're making a bigger lot.
So 2R is lot 2 plus parcel B.
yeah.
Correct.
That's the equation I was like, okay, yeah.
Yep,
And parcel A remains with the Bessie family.
yep.
And we got 75.
all right.
Oh,
If that's being the case, and now that it's been explained, I like it. Move to endorse.
I'll second that.
Before we do that,
Yep.
does that mean, by changing this, that they've got frontage on Azalea Way and Welch Ave? Julian?
They had it before, they still
Yeah.
have it, yeah.
Because there was only 75 feet on,
Yeah,
Welch.
they have it on Azalea Way, 75 feet on Welch, and then there's another 100 and, I can't quite read the number. 137, or is that 150?
37.99.
Right, so there's
but that's it.
definitely more than 200 on
Yes.
Welch Ave.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant, Julian. I was trying to
Yeah.
get to the point that now you've got enough on Welch Ave that Azalea Way really doesn't matter towards,
No,
okay.
No.
What I was trying to get away from is the corner lot thing that
Well,
we've
I-
had in the past.
I had written in here also, do we have a certified letter from Anita saying that is a certified way, a town road?
It's a good point.
Can we
Dave.
get that? Triple snap? But I would say before, is there public comment? I'm not sure if they were here for this, for any reason, before we, no.
Central
We don't
Mass
even get,
Regional Plan.
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't sure if there was somebody here.
Okay, so,
Azalea Way doesn't play a part in this anymore.
Doesn't it?
yeah,
No
that's what
more.
I was trying to get at, is that
Yeah.
with the 200 on Welch now, there's the frontage for the property, so it's sort of a, Azalea Way's a moot point, but
Correct.
what I was trying to make a point is, didn't we not allow, when there was frontage on both
Where's the driveway gonna be?
Yeah, we didn't have like the corner lot between two.
Right now, you don't have anything in your zoning that says you can't do it, but
No.
I could have frontage from Azalea Way, 200 feet down around the corner, like we had on that original lot too.
I'm trying to go back to town meeting with, what's Dick Brackian's old, Weaver Farm Road and Campbell, where they were trying to do that corner lot.
Just to cut in, so that bylaw change is not approved.
Okay. Thanks. That's right.
Okay,
I
Thanks.
just bring up with the front, if it was even frontage or no frontage of driveway, does that play a part in any of this? That would be,
Nothing in the
just for the
bylaw.
fire,
No,
just
it's
for
gonna
the
come
fire
off a
department
well.
to know where, what's the street address gonna be, I guess. But that would
it'll be
determined
Welch,
later.
this one's
I
gonna
think in
come
this
off a well.
case, the
It'll be
corner
Welch.
lot is not as troublesome because it's all connected,
Yeah,
as opposed to a situation we have a lot like this, and frontage is here.
right,
So we would like
right,
to
right.
also say that frontage is here, and
Yeah.
add them together, which is definitely not allowed under the zoning bylaw in any way, shape, or
Right.
form, so. But something like this seems to
Makes a
be,
lot easier.
something like this, you know it's one line for public safety.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that as far as, maybe it's just irrelevant, but, okay.
All right. Motion to endorse A&R.
I already did.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. Second.
Right?
We're in discussion.
Oh, crap. Sorry, left field playing right.
It's okay.
Is there any further discussion? In favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Julian, a quick question. If the Bessie property next to it, that big swamp area,
Yeah,
if they ever wanted to sell some of that property, they would have to tie parcel A back into it if they want to use it?
it's gonna automatically be tied into, yes, yep.
When you say automatically, don't,
Well, they own it, so that's all their land, so.
oh, I know, but it's got lot lines, right, for parcel A?
It has that little section, yeah,
Okay.
but it's the parcel line, so, yeah,
All right, good enough, I
Yep.
just checking.
yep.
I was trying to make sure it just didn't get absorbed and forgotten about, since I would have probably made this a lot and just thrown that back into it.
Next week, we go into a drought, the swamp will be emptied and dried out and be subdivision.
Yeah.
Oh, man, don't say that. Because we eventually got to get to Bryce Lemon, which I did take a drive through, phase 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else did, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I did this afternoon.
Got it?
I can't even find it. Oh, I see.
Approval under subdivision laws.
Not required.
I have trifocals and they're out of adjustment, so I don't know what I'm looking at.
I got used to, what are those things that they put in that's built into the lenses? Crap. It's bifocals that are built into the lenses.
Well, they're
Trifocals.
No,
are too.
there's a name for it, because you can't.
Progressive.
Thanks, yeah, I got the progressive
yeah,
ones.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I couldn't get adjusted to those.
At first I didn't, because I was afraid I was stepping off a cliff.
Right.
Well,
I always felt that way, so.
my first try was, they weren't adjusted right. Literally, to use, I had to do this. So I went back and said, hey, move up.
Did you wanna?
Yeah. Well, my problem is I went both feet. I used my safety
Oh,
glasses.
this one.
And so I'm out in the field doing this,
Okay.
walking around.
I'll let you grab that.
I gotta open this.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a continued hearing for Hilltop Estates, which in this particular case, I'm not going to recuse myself because it's just going to be continued further.
Yeah,
But
I'll do the opening.
you can do the opening.
This is a hearing for Hilltop Estates. It's a continuation of a hearing, of a public hearing. I'll ask if anybody's here for that. I'll read the public hearing if so needed, otherwise it's just a continuation. And don't think we've got the applicant here. So, and,
When is gonna be the next,
yeah, that was gonna be my next question.
If I could speak to this. So
Okay,
the applicant called earlier today and indicated that more time is needed to assemble the plan that the board was looking for, and also to transmit the request to his attorney to provide the information which the board was looking for regarding the subdivision. So we discussed some tentative dates, and the applicant's request by email made this afternoon is as follows. Please accept this email as my request to continue the public hearing to June 14th, 2022, with the extended date for final action deadline to 9/30/2022. So those are the two requests, and I'll send the form out tomorrow based upon the approval here tonight and get the signatures.
the only thing, Dave, can you, like we talked about, and want to ask the board, I think we need to respond to that email that he sent with ensuring that he's gonna get us an updated plan.
That was part of the conversation too.
Oh, so
That was
that,
why,
he sent the email?
that's why they're looking for another delay.
Okay,
The plan wasn't ready for tonight. The
okay.
plan was acknowledged as something that's outstanding.
And then he said he was sending it to the attorney. And then, like we mentioned, he needs a legal definition for this, for that subdivision,
We also
along
talked,
with the plan.
correct, we talked about that too, so
Okay.
I can follow up when I send the form indicating that the outstanding issues are as follows.
Okay, good enough. Anybody else on the board have anything they want to add?
I went over there this morning and saw the site just to better understand the
I drove by it
and the whatever, and I actually went up and looked at it, you know, so
I,
see where he's trying to go.
this is my opinion. With my little angle finder that old service engineers carry, that was a little bit more than 11% grade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to determine that. I know when I stood
Yeah.
up there and I looked at
I literally-
where he's got to go, and then what is it, 60 feet off?
Yeah.
What do we need off for the apron or the?
He was gonna do
landing
like
area?
100 feet off.
So then when
Yeah.
you're going up, I mean, until you take that out,
Yeah.
I think it's hard to.
I just did
I
what was
can
there.
visualize it, and I don't think it's. I don't. You know, I didn't really see it.
I don't know how I was gonna dig. I just put it on the rock. The angle went like this, and it said like 22. I go, "Ew." Yeah. Again, there's
I
maybe
don't think
taking
it's that
stuff out.
because you can look at. I mean, you got driveways right next to it. So if you look at George Jones's driveway.
It's pretty steep his driveway.
I don't think that's 22. I think you're probably 4. I think this is going to be less.
Well, that's 40. Anyhow, don't worry
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't want
Anybody else get anything
to.
else?
no,
Or
We just need a motion to,
before, I just want to check and see. Are you guys here for the
right
public
there,
hearing?
that's what they're
I
here
think
for.
if we hear, see it
Yeah,
on
Central
PC.
Metro.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Do we get anybody? Leah, any comments? Julian, any comments? For Hilltop?
No,
Okay.
thanks.
Guess I need a motion then for
Make a motion,
continuous.
continue to June 14th, 6:45.
Excellent.
and the constructive action deadline as well to 9/30.
2022.
Construction is at 9:30, okay, thank you.
Second?
Second.
Excellent. No, I was gonna ask for a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a vote, please?
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
4-1, or 4-0-1.
0.
Okay,
That was easy.
remember that one.
That takes a big
Next
hefty
item.
amount of the packet out.
Yeah.
And we have some visitors
Hi, how are
from
you?
Central Mass Regional Planning.
Not Dave. If you just do me one favor, if you do see anyone who wants to come to the meeting, if you can just submit them in.
Perfect, yeah.
Thank you. Otherwise, your
sorry.
presentation right there is just.
Before we do that, Dave, can I get everything signed that I gotta sign so I don't forget?
Yeah, we have the registry of deeds, we have the,
No, I meant for the continuation.
I believe you already submitted that to the town clerk's office indicating that you watched the recording.
No, I meant for
This-
today's
Tonight.
continuation,
Extension.
extension.
What about it?
Is there a
I
paper
don't have the
that?
form with me here.
Oh, okay,
I
no problem, I just wanted to make sure
apologize for that.
I got it signed. Sometimes I don't get it to the office.
I can forward it to you, or you can come in the office.
Yeah, if you send it to me in a PDF, I can sign it, scan it, and send it back to
I'll do
you.
that then.
And then take his copy out and sign his tomorrow.
Good, very good.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to David George for inviting us to your planning board meeting tonight. I'm Sarah O'Brien. I'm assistant planner at Cmrpc. So John, would you like to introduce
I've
yourself?
got this.
Hi
next to it.
everyone,
Keep-
my name is Sujata Krishnan. I'm Deputy Director at Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. Thank you so much for inviting us here today.
So for everybody online, this presentation should be in the updated packet if you'd like to reference it later. I also have some paper copies here. But we're going to do a quick presentation going over Cmrpc's new regional plan initiative. This will cover central Worcester County, so it's Worcester and 39 towns around Worcester, so including Rutland. So we're going to go over what we're covering, the scope of this project, as well as some preliminary data analysis we've been doing, followed by a quick survey and a discussion to go further into these topics.
The arrow, the down arrow, will help you navigate it.
Oh, do we have to stand on our head? Oh, wait a minute.
Cool. So here's a brief timeline of what we're looking at. We're currently in the visioning stage of our timeline. So we have a survey that we'll take after this presentation. We're doing a lot of visioning sessions such as this one, going around the region and gathering input. We're also tabling at events around the region and talking to our steering committee and our advisory committee to really figure out the vision and objective of this plan. And then in fall, we'll be going into more data analysis using census data, GIS data, really getting the basis of our plan, where we are now. And then winter of next year, we'll be going into projections, where we'll be going in the region, along with some scenario planning, what population might look like, what development might look like in the next 30 years. And finishing up in summer of next year with our final plan after we figure out our vision, our objectives, and an implementation plan.
Are you guys gonna use most of the master plans that you're working on? Because you're working on like 12 or 14 master plans right now.
For sure.
Okay.
Yes. And that's where this whole visioning session will come in, because we're trying to talk to 40 communities, so we want to make sure we are incorporating as much as we can delve into each of the master plans. It would be nice to hear from you all as to not just your community, but your region, or your sub-region, where you would like to see the region to go in the next 30 years.
So to frame this plan, we're using the 3 E's, or economy, environment, and equity, to really center our discussion tonight and the discussion we'll have for the next year about what our region will look like for the next 30 years. And since this is a giant scope to talk about economy, environment, and equity, we've also put it into these 5 cross-cutting themes. So we're looking at infrastructure, education, quality of life, sustainability and resiliency, and community vitality as those themes. And you can clearly imagine how economy, environment, and equity kind of cross-cut all of these aspects of what we're looking at for this plan. So our first pillar here is the economy pillar. So for economy, we're looking at all community efforts to build a strong and resilient economy. For the purposes of this plan, we'll focus on local and regional economic development, which we define as the process of providing a community's limited resources to support business growth, employment, and income distribution patterns. So since you might be more used to looking at Rutland, here's the scope of what we're looking at for central Massachusetts. We have more than 560,000 households with a growing median age of 40 years old. We have a highly educated workforce that leans towards white-collar, middle-class earners with above-average disposable incomes. Generally, these residents work at one of nearly 19,000 regional businesses and drive considerable lengths to get to work. In terms of income, we expect to see an increase between now and 2050, despite several structural shifts that we're seeing now, including offshoring, deindustrialization, and technological changes. Looking forward towards what we'll be facing as a region in 2050 and what we currently face, we have this unemployment rate that, of course, has been affected by COVID. We still continue to watch the effects in this new kind of pandemic, kind of post-pandemic world. And we also are looking at a future challenge of poverty rate. Poverty rate is increasing. We're seeing that many full-time jobs do not pay enough to keep workers out of poverty, leaving them to struggle paying bills and investing in the future. Another challenge we're seeing is the current racial inequity in income. Looking at the earnings gap in a macroeconomic sense, if there had been no racial gap in income for Worcester's specific city GDP, we would have been about $3.4 billion larger for the year 2019. So not only is this upsetting on a social standpoint, but it is very much hurting our regional economy. And this slide is hard for me as a 23-year-old. The rent burden is tough. We're not only seeing a rent increase in the region, we're also seeing a decrease in the rental supply, which is very tough to keep these communities alive. It's very hard for my generation, I'll speak for my friends who are just getting out of college, to find apartments in the region. So over the last 8 months, we have been gathering comments from folks in our region about what they'd like to see in the region in the next 30 years and what they would like to avoid for the next 30 years. Out of about 15 visioning sessions and a few preliminary survey responses, we have about 600 comments so far. We did this preliminary study to figure out what our survey will look like that you'll see at the end of this presentation. So these are the top answers of what we have so far. What would you like our economy to look like in 30 years? The top 5 answers were to support local economies, to grow the biotech industry, to advance regionalism, to create mixed-use walkable streets, and to integrate work from home. And on the flip side, what folks are looking to avoid are distribution centers, disinvestment of public transportation, population growth from greater Boston area is more just a concern. Decreased number of folks running for municipal campaigns, and a lack of career-centered education. And on a more general sense, how our respondents saw the cross-cutting themes affecting the year 2050 economy. We have sewer and water development, transportation infrastructure, workforce training, accessible education, free and local recreation, the increased cost of living, farms and locally grown food, the cost of renewable energy, supporting regionalism as a way that community vitality will affect the economy, and community collaboration and cooperation. So moving on to the second E, the environment pillar. This covers all interactions of living species, climate, and natural resources that affect human life and activity. And to contextualize that for our region, between 2012 and 2017, our region lost nearly 3,700 acres to new development. This loss of tree cover, of course, has huge implications for our region's ecosystems, as well as its character. Some Cmrpc communities are losing land to development particularly fast. Uxbridge is up there, which lost 11.4 acres per square mile during the study period, which was the highest standardized rate in the state. On the upside, we do have over 133,000 acres of permanently conserved land in our region, with an increase of 18,000 acres of conserved land between the years 2012 and 2019. So looking at the state's Hazard Mitigation and Climate Adaptation Plan from 2018, there are 4 major climate change interactions that are going to impact Massachusetts. The first one being changes in precipitation. So Massachusetts may receive more precipitation in coming years, but more importantly, we are going to look at trends of a lot of precipitation at one time, followed by an extended period of no or very little precipitation, which leads to pictures such as this one, roadway concerns, culvert concerns, of course, electrical grid concerns, that will be very costly. The second one we're looking at is rising temperatures. We're expecting more warm days and fewer cold days throughout the year. Central Massachusetts could see more heat waves, which is a worrying public health concern. Again, we're looking at bigger impacts than just the climate. Also, invasive plants could benefit from changing temperatures, while native plants and animals could be forced out of the region. We're also expecting an increased wildfire risk, dying streams and wetlands, and gradual ecosystem shifts in response. The third impact is extreme weather, which could manifest as more frequent and more intense extreme weather events, such as nor'easters, hurricanes, and tropical storms, which will of course burden safety officials as well as our road networks and the electrical grid. And the fourth impact of climate change outlined by the state in this report is sea level rise. It might not seem as a pressing issue for more central Massachusetts, but we're seeing this as an impact of population change in the coming years. By 2050, Boston is looking at sea level rise between 1 foot and 3.4 feet. So there could be possible migration into the central part of the state.
Sounds like we got beachfront property.
One
what I
could
keep
only
saying.
hope.
1,100 feet, that sounds good to me.
I want a channel for crying out loud. All the way from Boston right up here, right up to Worcester.
So for our preliminary analysis of our data so far, what would you like to see our environment look like in 30 years? The top 4 answers were more funding for open space and recreation, more support for farms and local food, reducing clear cutting for solar panels, and more cost-effective renewable energy. On the other side, concerns around the environment were for sewer and water capacity, climate change, the Blackstone River and other waterways, how clean they are, and education on the environment and sustainable practices. Generally, what will be impacting our regional environment between now and 2050 is environment-conscious septic and water systems, utility lines and power losses, agricultural education in schools and workforce development for green infrastructure jobs, accessible and free open space, walkable mixed-use environments, more regional water system and funding for the sustainable infrastructure, participation in town meetings and discussions, and a lack of water and sewer capacity. So you can see there's a lot of overlap with the environment and economy in this section for sure. But moving on to our third E, the equity pillar. For this study, we are defining equity by the consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals who belong to underserved communities that have been denied such treatment. So this first map shows the percentage of foreign-born population in the region between the years 2012 to 2016. The darker the color on the map, the larger proportion of foreign-born population. So we can find Rutland up there.
Right next to Holden and split in half.
It's right there. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. And another metric of measuring equity is through the definition of environmental justice areas. So this definition is from Mass DEP, and I'll go through the color coding on this since I know there's not a legend. But the low-income populations with an annual median household income 65% or lower than the statewide annual median household income is depicted on neon green. It might be a little more mid-green on that map. Black groups with 40% or more of minority population are in yellow. Black groups with more than 25% of households with limited English proficiency are in pink, and combinations of those demographics are in the darker green and dark blue. Starting in 2030, when all boomers will be older than 65, older Americans will make up 21% of the population, which is up from 15%, which is where we are today. Census projections also show that by 2060, nearly 1 in 4 Americans will be 65 years or older. This map here showcases the percentage of 60% or 60 or older adults. So the darker colors means there's a higher percentage of older residents in that community.
I'm confused, how come Rutland is so small?
It's interesting.
Makes no sense to me, because,
It's all a new building.
oh, the
All
new houses.
Other people coming in.
Yeah.
And this is using 2010 census, right?
Right.
Because
yeah.
we still don't have all the numbers
Oh, so
from
you've got a
2010.
decades off, okay.
That might be the reason too. Yeah, we don't
Okay.
have all the information from the census. That's kind of,
The new one from
Monkey Ranch.
2020.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're waiting very impatiently for that. And finally, food insecurity. The USDA defines food insecurity as a household level economic and social condition of limited or uncertain access to adequate food for all household members to lead active, healthy lives. So as of 2019, roughly 8% of adults in Massachusetts were food insecure. This doubled during the pandemic and is significantly higher for households with children and Black and Latino households. This map here displays census tracts where more than 100 households have no access to a vehicle and are more than half mile away from the nearest supermarket, or census tracts where a significant number of residents are more than 20 miles from the nearest supermarket.
Where is This is Boston. Yeah, I was trying to figure out where,
It's a little fuzzy, but.
yeah, I don't, does it go out to Central Mass? Yeah, 'cause it looks like, I can't see.
You can't.
Yeah.
I think that might be Worcester on the far left side.
Yeah, that's what I see, I don't think it comes to
Yeah, I
Rutland.
don't think Rutland
Yeah.
is included.
Yeah, it goes basically to the 190-290 break.
Well, that's it. The rest, you know, they have no farms to speak of down that neck of the woods.
Okay. Yeah. There'll be a lot of food insecurity in Boston, and they don't get anything from the western part of this
See,
state.
if they showed it a little bit more, they would show Tim Wheeler's place, and then they're big.
So looking at equity from what we've heard so far from Central Massachusetts residents, top answers were a minimum wage that reflects the cost of living, a less segregated region, geographic equity, smart development of renewable energy, and avoiding resistance to change, which is an interesting one. And on the other side, what we're concerned about, families and elderly folks priced out of housing market, healthcare costs and access, equitable funding for rural communities, loss of generational farms, and low attendance at community meetings.
How true.
9,000 citizens and 82 people at a town meeting. Perfect.
Yeah, for annual town meeting, that was
Yeah, that's
not
just
very good.
outstanding.
And more generally, how equity will be impacted between now and 2050. We're looking for a fresh approach to Chapter 40B policy, came up a lot. New infrastructure to support more housing, broadband access for education and accessible daycare costs, more funds for mass transit in rural communities, racial equity lens in planning, policy that balances development and environmental justice, and valuing blue-collar jobs, encouraging young people to get involved in local town boards, and more diverse residents civically engaged. So that is a very quick overview of our region, where we are now and where we're going in the future. Now we'd love to do a quick survey. And I brought paper copies because doing surveys online is annoying. But for anybody online, if you'd like to take the survey with us, that QR code or that link also go to it, or if you're watching this at a later time. For our people here in person, we have very fancy paper copies. So according to our online version, this will take 7 minutes. We also have pens.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes.
She needs to have one.
Please. So what we'll do is, if everybody can take a look at the survey, there are 3 questions here: economy, environment, and equity. We're ranking each one from 1 as being most important to 10 as being least important. If you take the survey the right way, you will be challenged morally. It's very hard to take. But after this survey, we can have a more open discussion about what kind of thoughts came out of the survey. If you'd like to go more in depth about one of these topics, and I will write down all comments as official comments for the regional plan.
I'm gonna go backwards from 10 to 1.
It's not your top one on there, write it in.
Say again?
I said if you don't have one, like a top one that you're thinking in your mind that's not on there, write it in.
I was gonna put in parentheses, Democratic agenda. But, nah.
Okay.
There's a back one, Norm.
Good keeping the pen.
It is a nice one. Ooh, it's got a clip on it too.
And so 2050, I can't.
That would make me 16, that'd be 84. That would be right about the edge of my, doctor saying I can make it that long. waste and all the internet propaganda, the planet won't be around in 2050. It'll be just a ball of wasted
No,
cinder.
we will be beachfront.
We will be beachfront, yeah. Yeah.
Start your own fishing business.
Go down to Wellfleet. I want to buy a fishing boat, and I'm going to tow it to Rutland.
Yeah.
Park it in my front yard and just wait.
Well, if we're gonna have higher tide, so therefore we'll let the high tide come in, we'll block it off when we utilize it as hydro,
There you go.
electricity going out,
Mhm.
or even coming in. Or, but I had a better idea, but maybe this being such a diverse group, I will not say it.
Wash out.
Yes.
I have stood on the banks of the Cape Cod Canal so many times and just looked at that. And the tide continuously runs, one way and then another. When we talk about hydropower for nothing,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, wind and solar is not going to cut it, but I'll let them keep heading down that path. The biggest argument is the solar power system out in Nevada. Huge failure.
Really?
Shut down 2019.
What happened? What was the failure?
Cost too much. Cost too much to run, cost too much to maintain.
Hmm.
When the average megawatt was around $1,000 to $2,000 a megawatt hour, when typically it's $40 to $200. It's not cost effective to run it. So, right now there's a lot of mirrors out south of Vegas if anybody's looking for mirrors. And there's 3 Riley boilers sitting out there too, that we built for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and they're inside-out boilers. They reflect up top, and the steam systems on the outside and on the inside is where the insulation is, as opposed to the opposite. Where it's just because they were trying to. The solar panels are basically heating the water from the outside. So,
Okay.
great process. I wish they would perfect it and make some money off of it, but shut it down. And billions went into that.
Was there something on the survey answers that we didn't capture? Like, I know this was based on what we've done in the past few months and we've done focus groups and stuff, but was there something for your community or from what you're thinking about that was not captured?
Like I have told Trish many a times, where's the wildlife? I don't see anything in there about wildlife corridors.
That's a good idea.
Preserving wildlife corridors?
Making them
Making them?
and preserving them. We almost had one from Wachusett Reservoir all the way out to Pine Hill Reservoir, or City of Worcester, from there out towards Rutland State Park and beyond. But a subdivision came in and he wanted an extra $1 million and the government wouldn't give it to him. We lost it. We lost that corridor. It was too bad.
And I saw transportation, but what about highway additions? Because, I mean, from
Ooh.
Rutland, there's no...
You mean this one right,
I knew you were going to say that thing.
Highway
I have to be
49?
careful.
Yeah, that's...
Because we need a high, why didn't
You're
Market
not gonna
Basket not
develop
come
it.
in here? Because they couldn't get in with trailer trucks and stuff like that.
Everything west of Worcester is basically almost a non-industrial development because they can't get trucks in and out.
Yep.
If it's not close to 2, there's no access. If it's not close to 9, there's no access. And there's a whole bunch of communities in between.
Correct. And
So-
49 would have come right
See-
from 9 all the way to, 68, 2 and.
I disagree with the solution about non-industrial. I think you're gonna find out that the cost of living on the third world countries, and after this pandemic with the supply chain shortages,
are gonna change. And you're gonna see more manufacturing coming back to the United States for the on-time delivery to the manufacturing facilities in country. Cause, I mean, I just talked to the Ford dealer. He's saying it's gonna be at least another year before they get back on track with having vehicles. He said everything comes in now has already been paid for and ordered. So he goes, there's nothing we can sell. I'm like, well, I need a car because my wife just got totaled. I gotta find one.
I don't know if Trish showed you, but I sent the thing in, I wanted this image of 2050 changed because there was nothing here other than a bicycle that shows transportation. I wanted a train or some kind of a thing, or I keep showing, I have it my other briefcase thing there, the pods. And I think that, you know, how many years you been in Worcester? Have you seen anything from WPI or MIT or any place else like that? Are they showing anything of new type of transportation at all? Nothing.
I actually was at MassDOT Innovation Conference today, and I saw a student from UMass, and I don't know what it's called. I might have the name wrong. I think she called location of wordy ports, and I'm like, what is a wordy port? It's an airport for drones. She's trying to find locations. How would you locate? Because with e-commerce and drone, we're not sure how drone deliveries would kind of play into it.
Yeah.
So
She should look at all the regional airports that are underused.
Yeah.
Sterling,
right.
all the way. When I used to fly into Boston, you'd see like Sterling and then Fitchburg and all these
Oh, yeah.
airports that are completely underused. Worcester's actually underused too.
Yeah.
2 flights a day or 3 flights a day. I mean, that's perfect.
That's-
Yeah, and they're talking about, again, I know
Devon's.
it's not as drastic as you're thinking, and which you're right, because we never thought if COVID pandemic happened that we'd all actually be able to all work from home. Yeah, there was some remote work, but now it changed instantaneously. Nobody wants to go into the office, everybody wants to work from home. But you're right, if you're not planning for it, how do we kind of,
Yeah.
adapt it when it comes all of a sudden in our lap?
Yeah.
But there is talk about incremental changes. I know transit means different things. Like in an urban setting, it could be like a fixed route bus, but they're talking about, especially for rural and suburban communities, on-demand micro-transit, like especially for aging in place or taking students to, jobs and other stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's, yeah.
To me, right now, we have a rail line that runs from Worcester out to Gardner. It's not being utilized that much. That could be a transit, bringing students not from around this area, you might say, and stopping on Holden, letting them off at the Wachusett Regional, or picking up people to go to work, or take them to Worcester to get trains or whatever.
What's the one that goes by the golf course? When you,
Yeah.
it
It used to be WPI, now it's GW.
Okay.
But that's the one I'm referring to. I mean,
Oh.
it's too bad that you couldn't be utilized. As a matter of fact, I brought up the other day, and I can't remember if it was the transportation or what, are they making changes to bridges in Holden for a roadway or another rail or bikeway underneath the bridges, and, get people to be able to bypass, you might say, or
That'd
get
be
to
good,
Worcester?
I don't think so. I bet they're not.
One bridge they're making a little bit wider underneath, but that's it. There was only one.
They've got so many problems. Like, where was that in Boston? Somebody, I don't know if it was a rail bridge or went to inspect it and go, that erosion probably isn't good for the structural support of that bridge.
Yeah.
We better fix it.
Yeah.
Close it down and fix it. And that's more probably prevalent in Mass than you know of, with the weather and the corrosion. And the one thing I didn't see in here was everybody's worried about energy and transportation and jobs and sustainability. If you can't eat, you don't live. So I saw some farm on here, but the food production doesn't seem to even be registering, like who the farms, how you're going to get it locally grown. I mean, they talked a little bit about that, but without water and food, I mean, those are the two biggest things that wars start over, besides the third one being energy or
oil, but food and water is gonna be the next thing. I mean,
And that to me.
We're bringing baby formula in from Germany.
Yeah,
I mean, you're kidding me, right?
but I, just to give you a quick thing about, last week, second grade, we had a planting session over the Naquag greenhouse, and it was so fabulous to watch those kids come in
Get in the dirt.
and put their hands in, get dirty, and put the seeds in and all that. They're gonna be taking home sunflowers or marigolds in a 3-4 weeks, and that's what we ought to be doing all the time.
We did that in elementary. My high school actually had a greenhouse
Yeah,
that the biology teacher had people working in all the time.
and that's
There was
what
other stuff being grown there, but we won't talk about that.
how do you train kids to work? I myself, every child should go and work on a farm for 6 weeks or something like that. Learn to respect the small animal, you have to take care of it, and you know, go it that way, or somehow, you know, how do you train them? So, and that way there, they also have to know about farms and to try to preserve areas like
It
that.
sounds like the European way, 2 years in public service, either firefighting or military.
Yeah.
Those are your
Learn the
choices.
potatoes don't grow on trees.
Yes.
They don't come from the refrigerator too, right? Milk doesn't come from.
And you know,
That cow's gotta
I've been
eat.
around here a long time. I mean, I've seen droughts here, I've seen tornadoes for crying out loud, or a tornado through this town. And so when you say climate change, I've seen so much of it anyways, and I anticipate it happening no matter what. And besides that, what is underneath us, molten lava, that's gonna bubble all over the place someday anyways, and we'll be changing, there's no doubt about it. But to me, for crying out loud, just, you've got to build things rugged and strong to handle this stuff. And don't build on the coast.
Come on, a stilted house down Westerly on the beach, you're killing me.
Well, anyways,
Just don't try to
Great- great
pass it on to your
presentation, all.
children.
No, sell it at
Very, very good.
Marco's eye.
David, you have any thoughts?
I'm just here as an observer for the most part. We're involved with all the master planning efforts for the parts of this project, so I'm just gonna.
What are your top, like, 1 or 2 priorities for Rutland moving forward, like from your master plan or something? If you had all the money, everything, what?
That's easy. Fix roads, fix buildings.
yeah.
Okay.
Those are it. I
Okay.
mean, you got $18 million worth of road fixes in town, and we have no bank to do that,
Yeah,
except Chapter 90, which is just basically
it's a
holding the
tease
dam from
money.
leaking completely.
Yeah, that's tease money.
Yeah. I mean, and the buildings need to be updated. We need new buildings,
New
a new town
buildings.
hall, new
Yeah.
senior center,
Yeah,
all money that if the checkbook was open, I'd like to ask Baker to do before he leaves.
we have a $2 billion excess, and I believe we had to come up with an extra, or with $1 million point something for transportation. Isn't that an unfunded state mandated thing?
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Keep me going.
But one thing, I don't know if because I'm from transportation, I'm not sure about buildings, but what we are telling communities is with the new federal infrastructure bill, I know Rutland has the project on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program. We have money. Now we are asking communities to design projects. The problem is we don't have projects ready. We have 40 communities and we have money left over.
We have no engineers. There's the
Right.
problem.
There's no engineers, but also, it's also, money from the town too, because the Massachusetts, we are lucky in a way. I know people want, I worked in Ohio before I worked here in Massachusetts.
From Indiana,
But-
so I know exactly what you're talking about.
But, federal government only pays 80% of a project, that's what they say. But Massachusetts, we're lucky because MassDOT is picking up 20% of the slack. So they're asking the towns to put in design dollars and right-of-way money. That's your kind of your foot in the door. So if the towns can kind of be proactive and keep looking, once one project is done, let's look at another project, because you get your biggest bang for your buck if you go that route. And I know West Brookfield, for being a small town, they're doing Route 9, Phase 1, Phase 2. Now they're already moving to Phase 3. For
Wow.
a small town like
Yeah.
West Brookfield, they're getting projects. So that's one thing I want you to think about, is
Well,
there is money now.
we-
so
Why don't we
let's
we just did the Stantec
Joe just did the Stantec review of prioritizing. Pick out the 10 worst roads in Rutland and say, here's the cost. We got the cost with it too, cost estimate.
Nice.
Send that in to these projects, and
Yeah.
I don't want, I'm sure Joe's doing everything because he's a PE, he knows what he's doing, but with that, we should be able to, since you've got a cost estimate, you've got a road length, you've got a road type, you've got it called out on a map, that sounds to me like a project.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely start out with that as a project
Yeah.
need form, because that's where it starts, and then design it as you get a number from MassDOT, but definitely keep that in mind, just don't wait that you got one project, don't leave it alone.
Well, this
working.
tip project is
Yeah, this
is 8 years in the progress, that's
and
ridiculous.
it keeps increasing $1 million every time you look at
Yeah,
it.
I
Like,
know
okay,
it.
can
It's
you just
scary.
construct it and be done with
Yeah.
it, because
Yeah.
we don't want to add another $1
Well,
million.
we wanted sidewalk, the town center, subcommittee that we had wanted a sidewalk down to our new subdivision area. That's.
Bryce Lemon?
Bryce Lemon and maybe beyond on Noble Hill. There's no sidewalk, no way to get down there for kids and to come up to school. We also talked about a complete street with a new street going down by the two schools to where the new senior center, but that got brushed off. I haven't heard a thing about that.
Are those schools elementary and middle school that you're talking about?
Yes,
I mean, if they're safe routes to school, there's infrastructure money, we can talk. I mean, if the town is interested and the school is interested, that would be another way to get money, not just complete streets. There's other avenues to get money, so
yeah.
we'll talk.
I'd
Yeah.
love to have, at the end of the thing, I'd like to have another street go all the way down to Kenwood. And that way there, keep the cars that are picking and dropping kids off Main Street, and have them come in the back way or something like that, because it's only gonna get worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, once we hit 10,000, which is just right around the corner,
Yeah,
then you're in line for a town manager, you're in line for a charter.
yeah.
That's the magic number in Massachusetts is 10,000, if I remember right. For a charter and for town manager. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
No,
I think you're
I
right.
think
because
you're right.
No, but, well, maybe you're right. I have
Yeah,
to look up
it's
because
10,000.
I just
Holden
remember
town
that 'cause
manager.
We were at 8,000. We're off by a while. Now we're like 92 or 94.
94, I think it was.
I'm like, ooh, that's close. And
You
the
know,
way houses are
you
being
talk
built.
about infrastructure also, right at the moment, we have plenty of water, but you don't know who may tap into our spring that feeds our water someday, and.
Hold on a second. We have one water source.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
One crazy guy in a Hertz van
Yeah, I was gonna
with
say.
nitrate in this town. 40% of it just went shut down.
There
No
were,
second source.
exactly, and also sewer. Our sewer from here goes all the way to Auburn,
You mean the
And-
Blackstone down there?
and feed it into Blackstone, and when you had it about the Blackstone,
Yeah, the Queen.
the meeting that's coming up. Oh, come on, brain. Anyways, there was a woman from the Blackstone area down there, and I says, have you ever found out if the temperature of the water where the sewer line or the discharge line comes into the Blackstone, has that temperature gone up? And she never, ever thought about that at all. I says, well, sometime maybe Boston ought to think about what they're doing out in the Boston Harbor too. So. But I was getting at there, we need a sewer treatment plant, not to treat, but also to put food waste with it and everything else. You make methane gas, makes electricity, and then that turns into fertilizer. Utilize it. Why send it, umpteen miles away for crying out loud?
And now here's the bad news. They've come up with a septic system that can replace the sewer system. It's a 3-stage septic tank that has your waste and then eliminates or turns the gas, takes the gas out, and then that goes out to a field. And it's actually better than having hooked up to a sewer
Wow,
and a third of the cost. And it's yours, you own it, you don't pay sewer fees.
wow.
And when I saw it, I'm going like, oh, I don't want to show that to Joe. Or maybe I do.
So, I mean, that's innovative.
But it's a
I
new
mean, I'm glad-
technology.
Yeah, that's what
It's
I
like
love to
$20,000 to
hear.
$35,000 to put in, but if you look at the life of a family what it costs for sewer rates over the time they'll be in that house.
Yeah,
It's a third of the cost.
wow.
And I was just like, wow, that's great tech. I'll be replacing my septic system with that if I ever have to.
And for goodness sakes, I feel for California, but I keep saying, what the heck is off your coast? It's salt water. Wasn't there Salt Lake City? I wonder where that name came from. It's time to bring some of that salt water in and
Let's see,
distill it.
there's
Desal-
huge desal
Yeah.
plants in the Middle East that work really well
Yeah.
for water, so.
They're gonna have to do something
All right.
pretty soon.
Meanwhile, back at the
Okay.
ranch.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
yeah.
you. And Janet asked me to say she's looking forward to seeing you all again.
Oh, yes.
And everybody gets a chapstick.
Ooh, thank you.
Participant.
Oh, wow.
They're peppermint flavored.
Oh, wow.
Come back anytime you want.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we
Okay.
have, these paper surveys are currently in the Rutland Town Hall, and they'll be online probably until the end of August. If you know anyone else who would benefit from taking the survey, or we're happy to come to any meeting, any public cookout you have, any group of friends.
You think I want?
Yes, of course. Which one?
Thank you.
Have you thought about talking to the young lad here and have it put on our website?
I've already covered that.
God, that's why we pay him the big bucks.
You're lucky.
Because thank you so much for
All
your
right.
time
Thank you.
today.
Thanks.
So
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yeah, we
you.
appreciate those
Good
comments.
luck with the rental thing. It's probably not gonna happen in this area.
Oh no, I
Poland's
already
crazy.
gave up.
Rutland's crazy.
And we keep losing all the young people to Boston because they're like, it's as expensive here as to go to Boston. They love being there, and you
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
find people living here. I mean, that's grads from Clark, and we can't find planners.
I've got doctors I know, they can't get people to Central Mass because there's nothing here. It's easier to go to Boston with 5 or 6 hospitals there, so.
Right.
And he goes, look, I drive a Mercedes 500. This is what kind of money I can make here. But I can't get any young doctors to come out here and see that.
Wow.
Because they just don't want to live here.
Yeah.
I'm going like, well, if I had an MD, we could talk. But I don't, so we won't.
Depends what you're.
Yeah, he's retiring, it stinks.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
Maybe
See you
see-
Thursday.
Yes, you will.
Yep.
I had 2 meetings Thursday, and she's first one,
Oh, okay.
transportation, and then executive board.
I don't know, she painted an awful rosy picture of money available all over the place.
Well, there is, Norm, part of the infrastructure bill that was released 180 billion, maybe I'm too much, to Massachusetts. And Baker's group is trying to figure out how to distribute it to the state. And that's why when I was doing the math, I think it was 100, maybe it was 80 billion, I don't know, it was a ridiculous amount of money. And I'm like, we only need 18. Somebody put in for that and pay for our damn roads.
Right, yeah.
We're not talking, so
I
I'm,
think I've got to get to tonight. I wanted to be here for that, but I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
Alrighty,
That would be free to go.
take care, Kevin.
Yep.
See you later.
5 minutes to finish the registry of deeds. It's the updated list of membership.
that's it, because there's money out there, Norm.
Norm.
The problem is Joe's got so many things on his platter. How does he get to everything?
Well, that's just it.
Number 2, 3/4 of it's still probably gonna go inside the 128 limit,
Yeah, I know.
you know.
But the rosy picture she painted, we got that Stantec study with, Joe did a phenomenal job of laying out the priorities, what's it gonna cost, from point to point on the road. That's a project.
Yeah.
Just tell them to freaking finance it and get half our roads fixed, because, I mean, Palmagussit, even with just the base coat on, it's a
lot
billion
better.
times better.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So,
That,
But
I don't know, that tip program, I'm kind of disgusted. Running it for the
Norm,
amount of time.
you went to that meeting in 2015.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on.
I know it.
It's 7 years later and you haven't even started the project.
It's supposed to go, in a couple of months, out the bid.
Yeah, but if I'm a project manager, a job to do 1.5 miles of road that takes 7 years, you're freaking kidding me, right?
It's the dam, causeway is the
Yeah,
biggest thing.
You could still engineer that in a year, so now we're at 2060. Okay, what about the other 6 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyhow,
Very good.
I'm not impressed
Moving
with
on.
with you, Norm, with the TIP project. It just seems like a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah. Okay, onward and upward.
Bryce Lemon.
Item 6, Bryce
We didn't have
Lemon.
any reports, did we?
We have no reports on anybody,
Wow.
and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know, I took a look around Bryce Lemon, Brenton Estates, Bear Hill 2, and there's nothing happening on any one of them.
They're working on, I went to Bryce Norman. The thing I didn't like is all of, and maybe they're not hooked up, is the, what do you call that? The grates where the water goes in.
Yeah, they got them all covered.
No, there's nothing covering them. They're just, you usually see that black
Oh, yeah,
silt
cloth.
stuff. There's
Yeah.
nothing there.
Mm.
I looked and I'm going like, the dirt's
Wow.
just going right
In it.
down into it. So there's just some things that I think Blair Industries needs to do a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the roads are beat up, Norm, and
And
Bryce, that they're gonna have to do a lot of repair work.
And to me,
There's,
kind of
well,
loud.
there's, at least there's a couple of spots where they had to cut the base coat
Yeah,
to put the utilities in, and
Yeah.
that's where's the worst. You're not gonna be able to tell how bad they are until they get cleaned.
that's true. That's probably
Between
true.
now and the
They-
time
they-
the top, before the top coat goes on though,
Mm.
I want Carl to take a good hard look at that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to patch it,
Well, that's-
something that's falling apart.
Right.
Well, see,
When
that's
they
what I was
should have
gonna,
probably dug it up and
I was gonna bring to the
Yeah.
board. Can we ask Carl to look, at, where it's actually broken up, and look down beyond it and
Yeah.
see, is there? Take a core sample there. Is there enough riprap or whatever goes
is there
underneath it
enough
for the base?
gravel underneath the
Yeah,
base?
because
It's-
this is the one and only opportunity we're gonna get to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because having Clee dig it up's not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
I don't want to end up with, what is that, Lenny's one, that when you're going towards my house off to the right where that road collapsed, the not road, but the internal subdivision road collapsed.
Yeah.
What is that? What are those two subdivisions called? I'm having a brain
Well,
dead.
that's Vista Circle.
Yeah, Vista
Vista
Circle.
Circle.
If
Oh,
you go
yeah,
up where it
yeah,
starts to go
yeah.
up, that house on the left,
Yeah.
it just, the road
It was
just,
the place that literally collapsed.
Yeah, that was
No,
because there was a
because-
spring underneath it or something like that.
well, they
It was
had,
soft and
they
everything.
had whole house drainage going to it too, which is
Yes.
a tad bit illegal.
Yeah.
But just stuff like that, I don't
Yeah.
want to happen. And I looked at some of the houses that they're doing electrical work, and I didn't know there were people moved in up there. I didn't know they had
Oh,
occupancy
yeah,
permits.
oh, yeah,
But they do.
oh, yeah, they have been since last fall.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I noticed the other night, Concom there, actually a week ago, that new detention pond they were talking about, had it up on the screen here and all that.
Mm.
I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
That's steep hill, and it's
Did you notice that
Wow.
drop off there that goes
Yeah.
down to the detention pond?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You notice the backyards of the first two houses on the right going in?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they got a detention pond behind them?
One step off the back door.
Down you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, we're down a kid. We're down to 3.
Yeah.
4 to 3.
Well, sometimes,
Because they're going to ask for a fence is what they're going to ask for, I guarantee you. The people in those houses are going to ask for that place to be fenced off.
well, probably, I wouldn't doubt it, but hopefully not, but anyways. I still feel that's not the way, that whole piece of property for that subdivision on that side, phase 3 and 4,
Not the way it should have been done.
not the way it should have been done. And I feel, I just don't know how the heck you could ever overcome something like that.
People are buying them.
I know,
And paying $600,000.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'd like to see what the place would look like in another 40, 50 years for crying out loud, if, does it start working its way, sliding out?
It could.
Yeah.
You don't know how much of any of that is on virgin ground either.
That is done there.
You know?
Everything's been filled.
Yeah, everything has been rearranged, period.
Yeah, that's
And
why.
it doesn't get compacted. It takes years before it to get compacted.
Well, it does. It's when the side basement walls move out and compact stuff next to it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, well, okay.
anyway.
All right.
So that was the only thing I wanted to report. When I went through there, there was dirt and silt all over the roads.
Yeah.
There were potholes. So, some of the utilities were hooked up. I didn't like the detention pond because it was all muddy and it did have water in it. And for 290-degree heating, I would have thought it had been somewhat dried out. But there was, I don't know, 6 inches maybe or something like that of water.
I did not notice, you're talking on Main Street.
On the phase 3, that detention pond where you go in about 100 feet and it's
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
hill,
Yeah.
there was water in
I
it.
didn't notice that one. There's still a little bit of water in the Phase 2 one.
Yeah, I didn't go to 1 and 2. I just wanted to go up 3 and see how it
Yeah.
looked on Sunday.
The only thing I noticed on Phase 2 was the hydro seeding. There's some stuff that's sprouting, but it's not
Yeah.
very strong.
Yeah.
But again, it's dry, so I don't know.
But we're not as dry as Boston.
But I didn't see any equipment working
Yeah.
because he's moving on to Lemon Circle.
Yeah. Back down on phase 1.
Yeah, off of that, and they have done some clearing up there, but I saw nothing happening at the time that I was there anyway. So, and we don't have any reports.
All right, no Bear Hill.
So onward to Brenton Estates, went down and visited there today, and there wasn't a soul to be seen.
Nobody working on that crossing at all, huh?
Nothing.
I would have thought with the weather they'd be so on there.
It really kind of astounded me because I kind of figured that,
Try to get something.
he
going.
would want to be, moving like mad on that right now.
Yeah.
So, they did get the one culvert is in, and the head walls are poured. I don't know what goes over the aluminum, to be perfectly honest with you, the actual aluminum. I don't know if it's just gravel that goes over it, or if they have to cast more cement. I noticed they did have some rebar strung all the way across a couple of parts of it.
Maybe.
So I
Can,
don't, again, I don't know.
can we ask for, I think this will be Dave's 3rd or 4th time, we still don't have the Brittenell Estates plans for the second crossing and updated plans, unless I'm wrong. Have you gotten any
Request
up?
has been made, we have no additional information that's been made since the last request.
That's what I thought, Dave, that's why I was,
Mhm.
do we make a
Well,
stronger in bold letters?
they're not doing anything on it either.
Yeah, but I'd like to have the drawings
Yeah.
in front of us. So if we do get a crowd in here, we can answer questions and have something in front of us. So we got nothing. Somebody ask us about that second crossing right now, and we just sit here and go, huh? Because we have nothing.
What happened tomorrow? Bottom falls out.
Of
The
Oh.
housing.
the housing market.
Yeah, the recession hits hard because the Fed has to go
I'm
up 2
thinking,
points.
is
I just want to get all the I's dotted and T's
It's
crossed.
too bad that Brittenell, the roadway at least,
Wasn't done.
was done.
Yeah.
That's going to take that second crossing being finished.
That's what I
Mhm.
mean.
And like I say, it just surprised me because, like I said, there wasn't a soul there, and I didn't walk all the way in, but I don't think there was hardly even any equipment there.
Where are
Like
they?
maybe one excavator.
Excuse me, where are they then?
I don't know.
Working in another town.
Must be. I don't know.
Well, I agreed that hopefully before our next meeting, if we get close to our next meeting, you still haven't heard anything,
Yeah. Give him another tickle.
give him another tickle, or holler at Tom
Mhm.
and tell him, hey, we need it. We need it now.
So, I also took a look up at Bear Hill too. Nothing happening up there.
Yeah.
And
No heavy equipment at all.
no,
Nothing.
it does look like all the utilities are in, but
He can't do anything up there until he gets that road done.
Well,
too.
and that's just it. That's why I would think that,
Yeah.
he would be pushing. But then again, maybe his contractors are pushing back,
Or there's no people to work.
or he's not paying the bills. Who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
Who knows?
I know there's shortages, because right now, try to get somebody to put a roof on your house, and they giggle at you. I said, I'll pay what, I need a roof. August?
Wow, really? Because I've been considering doing the same thing. Holy crap.
I only want to do it so I can get out of MAP-free and get to a different insurance company. My roof's over 20 years old, nobody will take me until I get the roof replaced. All right.
Okay, item 9. CMRPC delegate and alternate.
I am
I will
still
nominate.
running as the delegate.
So
And-
moved.
Yeah, and,
Second.
In favor?
We call that the railroad.
Yeah, no, I don't mind, I don't mind.
So,
I'm hoping that in the very near future, part of Central Mass is moving over to MassDOT.
really?
on
In
Plantation-
Shrewsbury?
on Plantation Street,
Oh, yeah?
That's what, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
The transportation part of it will be going
Yeah.
over there, yeah. And,
Interesting.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, that's where all the staff is. I remember our visit there many moons ago.
Mm.
So, one can only hope.
Mhm.
And not only that, because I believe Leah is on, I don't know if she's, don't forget, Leah, you're, as of the 1st of July, you have to have a delegate from the select board, or I believe,
Mhm.
so.
Yep, I see that we have a opening for an alternate, so I'll make sure that gets on. I guess you guys have any suggestions, so,
It's
pass
not,
it
yeah,
along
we
to
need,
us, but,
yeah, we need an alternate, but you need to have it's gonna be 2 delegates, I believe,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
So this has to do with the census for 2020, right?
Yeah,
So is that what you're talking about? Because of that, the town now is entitled to 2 delegates plus 1 alternate, or only 2 delegates total?
two delegates, and I thought, well, I thought it was an alternate
As
also.
well, that's what I thought. I'll have to follow up with that. So,
Yeah.
but at least a delegate because of the population increase.
Correct.
Yes. Which is the
Okay, so we should
selectmen's.
plan on,
Go ahead, Larry.
sorry, I was gonna say, so we should plan on a second full delegate, and also, I think we usually work with you guys planning to appoint the alternate, but we can connect Dave and whomever and figure it out.
Yeah, if you like. One thing, so the planning board has one appointment unto itself, which doesn't need any approval from any other board. And the select board has now one appointment unto itself, which is the delegate. So I know that there's a list of vacancies for boards and commissions, and there's that fillable form, so perhaps this ought to be added to that. And whatever outreach we can do here by trying to promote it at this meeting tonight, we're trying to do that as well. For anybody interested in
Okay.
becoming a delegate for the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, on behalf of the select board, please feel free to go to the town's website. There's a vacancy list there, and there's also a fillable form under vacancies for boards and commissions.
What's the alternate need to do, Dick, before I commit to
In case
anything?
I can't make it to a meeting, they can go to anything that, they put on, and get an
LPA.
LPA, thank you, hour,
Okay.
towards planning and other grant
I'll
pursuit.
entertain that if the board's looking for, I know Sean was for a while,
Yeah,
and I don't think, did we ever appoint another alternate?
The alternate was the select board's appointment. That was
Oh.
left vacant and has not been filled since the last occupant resigned from that position.
I would tender an alternate's position.
okay.
Is that through the select board or
Through the select
planning?
board,
Oh, I gotta, okay, fill it out and send it to them.
yeah.
Okay, anything more on that? Master plan update?
So, master plan update, so last Friday, the application for phase 3 was submitted to the EEA. We're hopeful to get funding for that. We do thank the planning board for its contribution of the $1,913. That was the only money being asked for from the town for the master plan effort, so we do appreciate it. Everything else has been through grants, or services, planning staff time, as one of those in-kind services, so that's in the works. The survey's been closed. We now have two surveys worth of data. The second survey's been closed. The land use chapter and the housing chapter are being developed. They exist in a draft form. The economic development chapter will follow from there. Those are the phase 1 chapters, and then the phase 2 chapters will start to be developed based upon the survey results. In addition, as we see here, there's a Rutland Master Plan Goals and Objectives Community Forum at the Public Library on June 8th, starting at 6 p.m. in a large meeting room. So we encourage anybody who's interested in providing feedback on the goals and objectives developed up to this point and the master plan chapters that have been developed to come and attend the meeting. You can learn about the survey results and offer your feedback on these very important topics to help to guide the town forward over the next 10 years. So, once again, that's June 8th at 6 p.m. at the Rutland, at the Public Library.
It's Leah, if I may. I just wanted to thank all of you, the planning board support for the master plan. I know it's a monetary investment, but it's a huge time commitment, especially on the staff side of things. So I appreciate you guys kind of spearheading that and taking it on.
I wish I had more time so I could get involved in that.
We're looking for people, Dick.
I can't
Come on.
time.
You can call in. That's all I can do because I'm always tied up in meetings. So I do the Zoom in.
We have an open space this Thursday, but I got 2 meetings Thursday night.
I'm
Actually, since you mentioned that, that's a very important thing to mention. So phase 3 consists of the last couple of chapters, public services, and to help the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee finish its work. Prior to this, that committee was working on its own timeline. So phase 3 will help that committee get over its hump and finish its work. So I hope you have a quorum tomorrow night and we can, let people know that we're here to help and that the phase 3 will actually serve the needs that they have.
Tomorrow night or Thursday night?
Thursday night, rather.
Thursday night, yeah.
Tomorrow night's a different meeting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because I think, Dave, we told the CMRPC that they gotta, for the services portion, there's a lot of people in Rutland they gotta talk to in the department heads.
Right.
To get an idea, because if they talk to Joe, it's gonna be doom and gloom. He doesn't have enough staff, there's no money. He can't even find people to mow our yards within the town, it's that bad. It's just, there aren't enough people.
Yep.
He's hiring summer help, but they're good only for a couple months and they gotta go back to college or high school. So.
Okay, CMRPC annual meeting.
So the annual meeting is on June 9th. In Sturbridge, the public house, Dick?
Yep.
Oh, that's
In
nice.
Sturbridge, at the public house, starting at 6 or 7.
5.
5 is drinking.
Thank you, I don't have the PR in front of me,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's
So, yes, we'll start with a session to touch base with your colleagues.
networking, cash bar, hors d'oeuvres. And then they got a business meeting, which we're not involved in that, are we, at 5:45?
The delegates would be
I am.
involved.
Delegates, yeah, but then the award, sounds like everything starts at 6. Then at 7:15, a Yankee dinner buffet. So is that the go through the line?
If it says buffet, it would be, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you could still do that.
Do it.
A buffet, that COVID protocols. Eliminated buffets except on cruise ships.
They put a little mask on each one of the
Okay.
serving.
So I think everybody here is interested in going, so I signed
Yes.
everybody up here.
This is one time I won't be on vacation.
Did you ask her?
Well, that's okay. I have another application, but thank you for thinking of me.
Hey, you do a lot of work, so I'm
And
more
since
than
it's a
happy
meeting,
to-
we need somebody,
It's a free dinner.
and you can take some home to the kids. We won't say a word.
Oh, I don't have to cook that night. That'd be nice.
Okay, number 12, bylaw committee
Maybe
update.
ought to invite Leah.
Well, I was thinking about saying this all day, but the reason I was kind of other things at the first meeting is I had come directly from a meeting with an eye specialist who said I have retinal, what do you know it? Anyway, it just, if you lose your central vision, and you have to rely on the macular degeneration.
Yeah, Mom had that, yeah.
So I went home and cried for 2 days, but I'm feeling better. So anyway, I'm meeting with tomorrow with Dave, and he's gonna give me some ideas on minutes, because I know Bonnie's going to write them, but I need to know exactly how they have to be. And then also I have a question. Well, the agenda is to work on the first
Is that the one for the special
citizen
permit?
petition?
yeah, the citizens petition,
Is that the
Which is-
122?
which is the one about the man who wants to sell and repair motorcycles and cars. And I have a question. If I would certainly be happy to call him, and I have his phone number if you think it would be helpful to have him there. It's kind of,
I think this is my opinion. I think it's wicked easy that we match it up to this town center, which was a special permit instead of site plan review, and that's it.
I think we were pretty much in agreement at that last meeting.
Yeah.
That, we just put it in as a special
just,
permit. And we can't do anything faster than that for him,
Yeah.
right.
so.
And then get that worded up and then ready for fall town meeting.
Yeah.
Yep, that's my sense too.
And,
It's the next one that's gonna need the research.
yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
third one is, this is my opinion, it's wicked insurmountable. 1,200 acres, trying to figure out how to divide that up, that's gonna be a huge task for the bylaw subcommittee and the planning board.
We gotta take a look at it.
Yes. We'll take a look at it. And hopefully by that time, there will be in mass cash or whatever it is they call it, like $500 million, and we win for the town.
I'm not saying it can't be done, I was saying if you get
Yeah.
the first two done, then we've got 2 out of 3 ready for town meeting
Yes.
in the fall. And the third one, we can just keep working on until, come up with a plan, a solution, look at it, figure
So-
something out, maybe even make it smaller and
Yeah.
more select that actually helps out people in that area. I don't know.
So you're thinking, I started thinking about that big chunk of land. Cmrpc, did you get a hold of them about using hours? That was what, for the home occupation, I think I had,
Right, so I had a preliminary discussion
okay.
in tangent with the master plan and how to allocate resources to finishing up the master plan. Some of those resources are the LPA hours, which you heard about.
Mm-hmm.
The town's award is a maximum of 24 hours per year, and the attendance of delegates actually helps to achieve an hour's worth of credit. So most of that is going to be used to support the master plan. The preliminary conversation was that we want to reserve some for a rezoning, to look at the home occupation as a citizen's petition, probably rezoning. So they're aware of it. The discussion was left at that because we've used the LPA hours available to the town for the current fiscal year on the
Right.
master plan. So those hours are refreshed at the 1st of July. Certainly the conversation can be had well in advance of that. So they're aware of the issue.
Okay.
Marilyn, didn't we also ask about if they have resources that we could pay for? Like if we wanted to hire,
Yes, but we did talk about that. There's a contract. Yes, you can enter into a contract with the planning commission if the town doesn't have the LPA hours available to it. So that's possible. Right now, I know you maybe could have heard it from the folks who are here that they're maxed out on several other projects. So I'm not sure what the timeline would be for them to put that work into their work plan and act on it, but that's certainly a possibility.
yeah, I did a Google search, and that's why I wanted to gauge her reaction. They had like 15 master plans going on right now through the area, and I'm doing their staff. They're booked. They're
Yeah.
booked. They're heavily booked.
So I would think it would be something for the board to consider. Do you want to just do 2 out of 3 this year, and that the rezoning for the land area is something that happens later? Or do you just, I mean, what do? Do you want to maybe just see about shrinking it down? Maybe shrinking it down may have issues associated with it. Ideally, what you would do is you'd have something like the Cmrpc who has access to the GIS maps, take a bunch of criteria that have been developed, and feed that through and come up with some candidate parcels in town.
That's what I was thinking, Dave. Instead of that area,
Well, see,
let's see what else is out there.
yeah, definitely.
Because
yeah.
I mean, that was a specific reason that area was being done. But there could be other areas in town that haven't been gobbled up by subdivisions and housing yet.
Right.
That could be a great. I mean, I know Dick said 68's got a great candidacy along 68 to use that as some business zoning. That's my thought. But
What I would be suggesting to the bylaw subcommittee is, in terms of the rezoning for the land area, is to develop some rational set of criteria which could be brought into mapping, which could yield some candidate parcels. So proximity to highway access, or proximity to, well, yes, proximity to the highway. In this case, Route 2, or is it 122? You know, pick one or both. And then that's gonna limit your geography in terms of where you may wanna rezone. You wanna do it near existing commercial clusters that already exist. There are several in town. Is that a criteria? You wanna have some land available that doesn't have residential property nearby. That's a criteria possibly.
that's gonna be tough.
You know, you wanna, things like that. You know, you may wanna think in terms of that, which would mean you could have your meetings before the fiscal year begins to think about some of these preliminary issues.
Right.
Even on the home occupation, you could have some preliminary meetings before the first to talk about, you know, what are your criteria? What are your thoughts about what was drafted by the citizen? How does that work for you? Do you have maybe you want to mark that up and say, these are ideas which we think might be worth saving? And then that can be fed into the search for a best practice for home occupation. So there's work that can be done before July 1st, is my point.
Absolutely.
I just, again, I think to get ready for the fall town meeting, we should focus on the first 2 citizens petition. Because I think, in my opinion, we could knock those out before the fall town meeting. And then, if need be, go back to once we get those 2 done, go back and put the criteria together for the 3rd one. Because if we try to work on 2 and 3, we're gonna get spread out.
Right, no, I agree.
Yeah.
But we can,
One at a time,
Yeah.
definitely.
we can talk about this at the bylaw meeting too. And I'll talk with you a little bit about it tomorrow.
Great. What I'd like to nail down tomorrow, not to nail down, I mean, is to start to put the framework around a schedule
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a framework around what you want to do in terms of all of them, one of them, 2 out of the 3, some combination of those, and you maybe start to flesh it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I do need to see the dates of, of your committee meetings,
Oh,
so I can make sure I can attend.
I'll bring that into play for our discussion
Okay.
tomorrow. I know what the usual schedule is in terms of people's availability
All
and
right.
conflicts with other board and commission meetings, so.
okay, yeah, that was a question I had.
Yeah.
What time tomorrow?
I mean,
Is there a meeting tomorrow?
No,
Okay.
HPDD board is.
Oh, I got it. Tomorrow, that's at 5:30?
6:30.
6:30,
Okay,
in
good.
the big room.
Correct.
And it's televised, correct?
Correct.
Good, so I can zoom in so Chris can say, approved, send us our check.
Okay,
I
item
just
13,
question for you, is your ag meeting got a place, or are we gonna have a conflict, or?
Let's put it this way, if I know that you have a meeting going on over there, I'm not gonna come in and bother you, so.
Okay,
We'll hopefully have it outdoors on the bandstand, it might be built by then.
I know, there's a big hole in the
There's a
town.
hole there,
yeah.
Did they find anything there? All right.
Okay.
Number 13.
Yep, Glenwood Road.
I have copies in case the board wants them, unless you've already printed them on yourselves.
No, my question on this, Dave, can I sign this?
No,
That's,
you were absent from that one. This was a, but you can look at it if you like.
yeah, but the vote I was absent for, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure, because I was looking this over and I'm going, I'm pretty sure I was there for the lot discussion,
I have,
but not the common
I have the
driveway.
board members present acting on the petition. You were not here that night.
Yeah, I just get perfect.
So you can comment on it if you like, or.
No, I'm good.
Like
I
went up to
already
see-
read it and thought it was,
went to see Dave, and I'm quite adamant about the landing at the bottom of the thing where it hits Route 68, and I want to make sure that Joe is on board with that, and I don't want to see any of this stuff come down and go right to 68 without a nice landing.
So you sent out an email to Joe.
So that email, from what we discussed, that email was sent to Joe Buckley in the board chair,
Yeah.
making that request or making him aware that, or asking the question and to verify. And
Correct.
that's also a condition of the decision,
Yeah.
that the common driveway will need the approval of the DPW director.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because he still has to get a driveway permit, even though he has this, yeah. he has
Well,
to
the
get a
driveway's already in there, and basically the
Well-
bottom part of it is somewhat there, so, but I want to make sure that,
Yeah, it's going up at an angle, and,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not going straight up and down.
it's not going
So
straight
there's-
up or anything else, but I
otherwise-
want,
But there's room enough to put in a landing area at the
Yeah.
bottom of it.
I just want to make sure.
So,
It's on the southerly side, so that's one good feature there.
yeah. So, do we trust that Joe will require that?
In all honest, I do believe he will.
Well, the question is, do we want to sign this tonight?
I have no problem signing this.
is that in there? Is that in as
There's also
a,
a condition that the
It's in the
DPW
condition.
director approve the installation of the driveway. That's condition number 5.
but it doesn't specifically say you want a,
Well, further back, I believe, you said it was in Mass General Law and all that stuff, so I'm hoping that it's in there. Most shared driveways, you do see a landing, and especially just down the street from there. Some are kind of short, but the
Yeah.
outline of this particular one is not bad, it's just, I want to make sure that it is
Yeah.
right.
was the driveway site plan the thing that had the landing on it?
No,
Is
I
that-
think what's at issue here, in particular for the DPW director, is he has a specification for the driveway, where the driveway connects to the public right-of-way. That's what we're talking about here. So there's a specification for that. So when we say that the plan shall be approved, we're actually, we're talking mostly about the part that's in the right-of-way based upon the DPW specification for that portion within the jurisdiction of the DPW director.
Okay.
Which was emphasized through the email today, just to make sure, and to try to underline that.
So, do I have a motion to sign the decision?
I make a motion to sign the decision on the common driveway on, is it on Glenwood? No, it's on Glenwood.
It-
It's on
It's East County Road.
East County Road, yeah.
There is no number, and second that.
Have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Let's see, we only want one copy signed, right? Okay. Pass that over to...
done 15, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, is anyone interested in number 14?
Not tonight,
Not tonight.
really. We've done so many 9 and 9:30 meetings that getting out before 8:30 just seems like a bonus right now.
Well,
I do too.
home before dark, kinda nice.
What did you say?
Home before dark, that's kinda
Oh.
nice. Well,
Let you know, I had a nice walk through Putnam Park with the Boy Scout. I'm trying to get, he's interested in putting a trail in there, which was in our open space recreation.
yeah,
And I've been spending I've got about 10, 11 hours down there working, weed whacking and trying to clean up the place a little bit down there.
okay.
And Leah, you can tell Joe if you see him, thank you for knocking the dead tree down on the entrance of Putnam Park. Gets you a little nervous when it hangs over the driveway,
Yeah,
so thank you for that.
I'll let him know.
Good. But anyways, it was a long distance. We only made maybe 500 to 700 feet into the project. And he seems very anxious about it. I would like sometime to sit down probably with some of the selectmen or briefly talk to him about maybe a forest harvest on some of the trees, and if they have the forester has enough money to leave the chips so that the trail could be lined with chips. You know, it's a long project, and I don't know if he'll be able to do it all or not, but he's looking into it. And
how many acres is the park?
78, I believe, or something in that
I
area.
didn't realize it was that big.
It is quite.
Oh, and Dick, sorry for driving by your house a week ago Friday. Ryan's signs aren't as good as they should be. I'm like, honey, I think we're going in the back way to Dick's place. And she's just like, you kidding me? I go, nah, I'm pretty sure they don't park heavy equipment on the road here like this, known as tree vehicles. So, oh, I think that's his son and or daughter-in-law. Let's just wave and drive by.
My nephew.
I was just like, I'm not doing this again.
Hey,
We did have a good time, and
you know, that was a town road.
oh, it
Back
was.
in 1890.
Okay, well, and then that same night, somebody took a picture of Lyndon and I, and now we're cover boys on the lilac hedge advertisement. Luckily, my back's there, so there's nobody can get a facial recognition on me. But Lyndon's noticed.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Do anybody need to speak or whatever?
From anybody? From the
Yeah,
public?
Leah left.
Anywhere? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.